Hello, everybody. My name is Roy Nemmer of MoondogIsLessay.com, and I'm joined by none other than the living legend himself. We are going to discuss Argentina's 2022 World Cup team. But before we get to all of that, I mentioned the living legend himself, the man, the myth, Sebastian Garcia. Seba, long time. How are you?
Hey, hello, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Um, I told you earlier, if it was up to me, we would be making videos every day. Sometimes it's difficult. We have our uh, jobs, we have our responsibilities, but of course, the World Cup is really around the corner. We've been here for a long, long time. This is gonna be, help me count, 2006, and officially Mundo Albiceleste already existed.
Yeah.
Then
And
so that's one. This 2010, 14, 18. So this is our fifth World Cup together
fifth.
since we know
Yeah.
each other, since Mundo Albiceleste was created. The
Yeah.
community keeps growing. And of course, come closer to the closer to the World Cup itself, we're gonna be making more videos. More, there's a lot
Of
more to talk
course.
about. So I'm really excited. Really
Yeah,
excited.
and it's our fifth World Cup together. It's our first here on YouTube. You mentioned the community; it keeps growing, and we have a lot of people in the chat. So, as always, let us know where everybody's from. We got people from, I think, all around the world. We got Paro Miguel, hola, hola. We got Mix Memorabilia as well. Um, Calvin, there you are. We're doing good.
Um,
We're doing good.
we recognize this is not a. We understand this is not a good time frame for Bangladesh,
No, no.
India. It's more than 1 a.m. over there. So and this is not uh, exactly after an Argentina game where everybody will have an excuse to be
No.
awake. I don't know what excuse do you have right now to be awake um, in India, in Nepal. I know it's very late, but
Yeah.
all jokes aside, it's really humbling for us to know that you guys are there, are always there, no matter what time, no matter what day of the week,
Very
and
nice.
it's all about Argentina. So very happy to see you guys.
Yeah, likewise, likewise. It's we haven't done a live video, Seba, you and I, in quite some time, and
Yeah.
every time I post a video, there's always questions. Where's Seba? Where's Seba? Well, here is Seba. Christmas came a little bit early this year for
You
for a
say
couple
because
of
of my
us.
white beard? Is it because of
No,
my white
no,
beard?
no,
No.
no, no,
Okay, okay.
at all, at
Well, yeah.
all. India, hello, hello, hello. And see, Seba, you got some fans, Seba. You got some fans.
Beautiful,
Um,
beautiful. No, my mom,
yes.
my mom has a lot of accounts, so she's she's pretending to be different people saying hello to me, but I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Yes, I know Rio asked about this a couple of days ago. Asked in the comments. So hello everybody. Welcome, welcome. Literally from all around the world, from Nigeria and India and Bangladesh and the United States and Canada and Argentina and everywhere, 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 everywhere. So thank you everybody for joining us. We are discussing. I mean, there's only one thing to discuss, I think, today, and the 2022 team. I'll let everybody write their comments. What do you guys think of the team? Quick thoughts, Sebastian, Seba. I'm gonna start with you. What do you think?
Well, we have to start with the headlines. Of course, we can't um, start by mentioning the obvious choices, the players that we knew that were going to be there. We
Hmm.
have to start with those that were kind of a. I wouldn't think it's a last minute decision, but it's more of a. I mean, in terms of a decision from Scaloni, in terms of whether he likes one player or not. It's more a decision on whether they're fit or not. Of course, the injury to Giovanni Lo Celso, one of the starters, is a
Oof.
massive blow and may have impacted some of these decisions that we saw today. But I would like to start by mentioning Paulo Dybala. He was another injury doubt, and he's
Yes.
been included. So it's I think it's good. It's really good news, especially for him. He's been trying so hard. It hasn't been happening for him at the same level we know he's capable of, but he's been improving, and he's a player that any national team in the world would like to have. I think he will make it into any national team in the world. and it's a good news. That means he's fit. Apparently, he's going to be involved this weekend for Roma, at least available. So that's good news. And then uh, we can follow up by mentioning those that we thought had a chance of making it and
Yeah,
were left out.
yeah,
I know you're not very happy about Angel Correa being excluded. So if you want to touch base on that,
yeah. We'll,
I'm curious of knowing what you have to think,
we'll
have to
get
say.
to. Yeah, no, absolutely. We'll get to Korea in just a second. I guess we'll start things off first with maybe the names that are there, and then
Oh, okay.
I'll get to Korea.
I jumped the gun
Korea.
a little bit.
No. That's on me. We're live, everybody, right? We're
Yeah.
we're just doing this. That was on me. I should have started with that as well. But no worries. No, it's you mentioned some very interesting facts there, some interesting points, Seba, and I'll get to that in just a second. But if we take a look at the team, at the squad, this is in alphabetical order, but Marcos Acuna, Julian Alvarez, Franco Armani, Joaquin Correa, and there's one that raised a couple of eyebrows for some people. Rodrigo De Paul, Di Maria, Dybala, who you just spoke about, Seba, Enzo Fernandez, Juan Foyth is one that I might want to touch on a little bit. Papu Gomez, Nicolas Gonzalez, Alexis McAllister, who's having a great season with Brighton, Dibu Martinez, Lautaro, your boy Seba,
Yeah.
Lisandro Martinez, some guy called Lionel Messi, I think he's new, I'm not sure. Nahuel Molina, Gonzalo Montiel, Nicolas Otamendi, Ezequiel Palacios, who was sort of a doubt almost. Leandro Paredes, Germán Pasela, Guido Rodriguez, Cuti Romero, Geronimo Rulli, and there's another interesting one in Rulli, and Nicolas Tagliafico. So that is your Argentina team. Wow.
And we have a secret weapon. If you look at can you put the picture
Yes.
again up there?
I'll
If you
bring it
look
back
at,
up.
if you look at the on the lower left of the picture, we have Diego Maradona there as well.
Yes.
So I thought I mentioned him. He's gonna be present. He's gonna be there. He's gonna be there in spirit.
Yes.
Um,
The
we,
first the
we, we
first
miss
World Cup
him every day.
without Maradona. First
Exactly.
World Cup without Maradona.
But aside from that little note over there, this reminded me a little bit of the World Cups of 1978 and
Yeah.
82. Argentina not only listed the players in alphabetical order, but also the numbers were in alphabetical order. So we have a goalkeeper were in number 5, Ubaldo Filiol. Ardiles were number 1. So here Acuna with the number 1. I mean, Acuna is always number 1 in my heart. So it's good. It's a good list. It's a good list. It's a good squad list.
Yes.
But it reminded me of that. I thought I mentioned that of the
Absolutely.
alphabetical order and the numbering of the shirts. But
Yes.
I think it's a very, very solid squad. We have to be happy about it. Another
Yeah.
good thing that speaks volumes of what Scaloni and the coaching staff have been doing, and especially the players, is that there wasn't such a heated debate in the weeks prior to the announcement. Everybody knew the core of the team was there. There's so many positions on the field that we know who the first option is, we know who the second option is, and maybe even third or fourth option when it comes to central defenders, for example. But I think that is a beautiful thing to have in a team, and I think, well, as I mentioned before, I think the list is maybe shaping a little bit differently. And you mentioned Ezequiel Palacios being somewhat of a doubt at some point, but of course, Lo Celso not being there, you need more depth in midfield,
Yes.
and that midfield we will talk about the different lines and the different names, but I think the midfield group that we have gives you so many options. It's a fantastic group of players, and I'm really happy to see that.
Yeah, no, likewise. You mentioned the likes. I mean, you mentioned Lo Celso being injured, and that kind of changed a lot. I think of the dynamics, and maybe Lo Celso's exclusion meant someone like Palacios does get in the team. Maybe it meant a ninth defender like Juan Foyth. we have different variations, as you mentioned, Seba. I mean, if we want to go maybe a little bit more defensive, play Guido Rodriguez as the defensive midfielder. Sorry, maybe Paredes more up front with De Paul. We have Enzo in there as well. We've seen Alexis McAllister replace Lo Celso in two of the World Cup qualifiers when he wasn't there, so he started both games against Ecuador and Venezuela alongside Paredes and De Paul. So there's certainly a couple of variations in there. The good news is, and I say this positively, is that there's no surprises, right? In 2018, we've had some big surprises. 2010, probably just all over the place in terms of surprises. And now we're going into the tournament with players very much in form. McAllister, Enzo Fernandez, obviously Messi, Lautaro scored on the weekend as well. Otamendi, Lisandro. So really, a lot of players in form, a lot of players rested. We had the fear of injuries, and I'm happy with the team overall. I'm happy, very very happy with the team overall. Would I have made some changes? Maybe one or two. And I'm gonna get to that, I guess. Essentially, right now, so we do have 4 reserves reportedly: Juan Musso, Facundo Medina, Thiago Almada, and Angel Correa. I'm surprised Rulli got selected ahead of Musso, because this looked like it was something that was coming even before Musso got injured with Atalanta and required the face mask.
Yeah, I think Musso's injury had a lot to do with that. He changed um, clubs recently, and then he had this injury. He became a father. There were a lot of things happening and going on
Mhm.
for him. But the hope is that we don't get to see any other goalkeeper than Emiliano Martinez. That's the reality. I think that's one of the main things that I remember from 2018, which was a mess, a complete mess of a squad, of a team, of the results, of performances and behavior and everything else. One of the main points that I remember is, if I'm not mistaken, we used all 3 goalkeepers and all 3 were bad.
Yeah,
Am I
yeah.
right? So, I mean, the only World Cup I remember that went well when you saw more than one goalkeeper was in 1990, because Pompido unfortunately got injured mid-tournament, and then Goicoechea became the hero and he started stopping every every penalty kick, and we got all the way to the final. But for that position in particular, I don't want to see Armani. I don't want to see Rulli. I mean, and I guess we're all on the same boat, because when we saw the 3 goalkeepers in the last World Cup, it meant like none of them were confident enough. None of them were performing in a good way. I remember Willy Caballero gifting a goal to Croatia. Armani had to be introduced late in the tournament and suffer big time against France. I mean, those are the things that you don't want to see. You don't want to see your reserve keeper taking any action. And Rulli, frankly, I mean, it would be the least of my concerns to think about the third keeper. Yeah,
Mhm.
because I think it's um, I think it's logical that Armani will be second choice. He used to be first choice before he had COVID, and then Emi Martinez came
To
to
the
the national
rescue.
team. Yeah, and then won the World Cup, and all the rest. But
Yeah.
Armani, he saved a crucial penalty kick against Paraguay. He's very
Yes.
experienced. Thanks, Chaco Taco, for that correction. But the impression that we got is like we didn't have a solid goalkeeper, and
No.
that was like um,
It was a
disaster waiting
mess.
to happen. Yeah, it was a mess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't spend a lot of time um, talking about Juan Musso being left out or even Rulli being included. I think he had a great season, Rulli. Um,
Yeah. Mudeira,
he
yeah.
had a couple of shaky seasons before that, but he improved a lot. Hopefully, we don't get to see him, but at the same time, he's ready in any eventuality that we need to see him.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, these 4 players that are reserves, one for each line, I think Um, I think that these are good names. They could have been included.
Yeah,
I have no doubt,
there's
especially Angel Correa, who was part of the whole process. The
process.
whole, but
Mhm.
yeah. Um, so if you want to move up the pitch, we started
Yeah,
talking about the goalkeepers. We can talk about the defense. Um,
Facundo
there
Medina
were,
left out, Juan Foyth left in.
yeah, I I've been on record. I'm not a big fan of Foyt, but I understand his inclusion. Um, he was guilty of a few blunders in the past, but he was left out of Copa America, if I'm not mistaken. My
Yes, he
memory
was
is
not there. Yeah, he
sometimes I
wasn't
have
there.
a
No, no.
better.
The
Okay,
the three goalkeepers were Musso, Dibu, and Armani last year, and there was a fourth one. Was it Mashisin? Agusin Mashisin, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
yeah. But then going back to Foyth, I think he was like the last minute exclusion for the Copa America team,
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. And people were criticizing Scaloni a lot for that decision. I remember he said he really likes that player, but at that time he felt he had to go on a different route, and
hmm
now he's back. So I think the good thing that he brings to the table is that he can play several positions. And what we were saying just a few minutes ago, that's the adaptability that some of these players have and can give you. So you can, if you really need, at one point, you can play five at the back, like three central defenders plus two wing backs, or you could play Montiel Molina on the right, Tagliafico Acuna on the left. They are guarantees. They're very very good players, and then all the central defenders are solid and proven. Um, the there's always these question marks on their fitness level or their injury proneness, like Cuti Romero, for example.
yeah,
Um, but if they're all healthy and good to go, this is a good defensive unit, and you have so many options. You have ball players in there like Lisandro.
Mhm.
You have two killers like Romero and Otamendi. That it's not a good prospect if you're a forward and you have to
Yeah.
attack against Argentina. It's not a good prospect at all. And Lisandro can also join in the midfield. So you have nine defenders. You have seven
Potentially an extra
midfielders,
midfielder.
but they can be interchangeable, and a couple of the midfielders, sorry, defenders can join in the midfield and give you more options. So
Yeah.
it's a
No,
very very solid list, squad list.
it's yeah, it absolutely is, and as you said, very versatile, very versatile. Foyth can play right back, played center back, I think a couple of times with even with Argentina. Lisandro Martinez, center back, defensive midfielder, can potentially play left back even for Argentina if need be. So there's some versatility. I've been very vocal about Foyth. You know, I've criticized him in the past. I think he's a very solid player, but sometimes he does have that lapse in judgment. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, it's happened a lot in the past in key moments, and specifically for Argentina. And I think, as you mentioned, or maybe someone mentioned it in the chat, I can't quite remember. It was his mistake, maybe against Colombia in the World Cup qualifier, right before the Copa America, where he gave the ball away,
Yeah.
which led to the goal. That potentially left him out of the Copa America. That was over a year ago. He's done, he has improved a lot for Villarreal, and it gives us a third choice. I mean, Montiel, Molina, and Foyth as right backs are not bad options at all, at all,
Mhm.
at all. Um,
And Tom Mon is asking about Cuti Otamendi or Cuti Lisandro. I have to go with if it's not broken, don't fix it. I
don't fix
mean,
it.
Cuti Otamendi. Um, Otamendi recently has been performing at the highest level of his
Wow.
career, I think,
Yeah,
because I remember back in the day there were a lot of doubts. There were a lot of criticism going his way. Some of it was,
merited. It was
yeah, yeah,
merited.
it was logical.
Yeah,
But yeah, if it's not broken, Don't fix it. Cuti Otamendi, it's the winning formula for the Copa America. You have to keep it there. I don't remember the game against Italy who started or who didn't, but
No, against Italy, it was Tagliafico, Cuti, Otamendi, and Molina.
all right. But the central defenders
Otamendi and Cuti.
were these two. So yeah, you have to go with that. They have chemistry. They have an understanding. They will both die for the national team.
Yeah,
You have to stick with them. And Lisandro can give you a lot of options. He can play on the left of the defense as well. He can play in central midfield. Is the type of players that you really need in the World Cup squad, where you never know what scenario you may be facing,
yeah.
and it's important. It's important.
Yeah, we've seen injuries in the past for Argentina. I mean, forget 2018. We saw how crucial it was in 2014. Federico Fernandez wasn't playing that well, and you had a veteran like Martin de Michelis, who was under a lot of criticism, similar to Otamendi a couple of years ago. He stepped in, and honestly, he played great in the knockout stages. So you can't fault
Yeah,
him. The goal in the final is a goal in the final, but I thought he played very, very well. We saw the injuries in 2002 and 2014, even with the injuries, the forwards maybe more than the defenders. So the fact that we have those different combinations and we have those different partnerships, right? It can only be a good thing for us and a bad thing
absolutely.
for the opposition. Now we're getting to the part where things really changed in the past couple of days, and more specifically past week, up front and in midfield. We'll start with Thiago Almada, left out. I want to say not really surprising that he's left out. Maybe surprising that he's even on the reserves, even though I thought he played very, very well for Argentina in September. Lo Celso, we spoke about, he's not there. Seba, are you happy with the midfield? I mean, Almada out, Palacios gets in.
Yeah, obviously, I'm concerned and I'm worried about how we're going to replace Lo Celso. We don't have a lot of time to test.
Yeah,
Um, he's been quiet. I mean, it's not the type of player that is going to be on the score sheet or is going to be like the main player to watch. But he has been instrumental for the national team. He's been great. He's the connection between defense and the attack. He's the one of the most trusted partners that Messi has on the pitch. I read a few statistics that are really um, eye-opening because he's like the one that gave Messi most passes in I don't know how many games, and so it's not going to be easy to replace. He can thread the ball between the lines. He does a lot of work. He runs a lot. He's very, very intelligent. He occupies spaces in a very good way. And really, really, really feel sorry for him. He was taken to the previous World Cup and didn't get a single minute. That was another bad decision back then.
yeah,
And now he misses another World Cup due to injury. So it's not going to be easy being in his shoes. So, um, but it's also not going to be easy for us to replace him. But at the same time, you look at the names that you have. I'm going to read them again. It's Rodrigo de Paul, Leandro Paredes, Ezequiel Palacios, Guido Rodriguez, Alexis McAllister, Enzo Fernandez, and Alejandro Gomez. That's a lot of variety. There's players that can play several different roles.
mhm,
They have chemistry. They have a lot of talent. They've been playing together at club level in many of those cases, and I really like all of them. I mean, it's not easy. It's not that easy to like all of the players in a squad list. So that's something that I don't know how many times it happened, but I remember last World Cup there was a couple of rubbish names in there like Maxi Mesa, Christian Pavon. You couldn't relate to those type of
no,
players. You couldn't even understand why they were there. And but now I don't think there's one single name that I could remove from that list or that I'm unhappy to see in that list. So that's another that's another thing that I would like to point out. And these guys give you a lot of different. solutions. Whether Enzo, there's a lot of people asking about Enzo, and there was one couple of comments I already read, um, and what I have to say about Enzo Fernandez is that, of course, we all dream of being Messi, we all dream of being Maradona, play like those kind of players. But those guys are from another planet. If you have to compare or wish that you would be able to play like a human being, like a real human being, like a real professional player, I would love to have Enzo Fernandez qualities. I mean, he's a complete player. He's a player that we've been really waiting for and dreaming of having in the national team. A true complete midfielder with a fantastic technique, a beautiful shot, um, and an engine that it's never stopping. I mean, what's not to like about him? Whether he will play a big role or a lot of minutes, we don't know. It's a short tournament; anything could happen. Um, One thing I'm sure of is that if he gets to play, I'm going to be confident that he's going to be he's going to do a good job. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, he could. He's one of the candidates to occupy that spot that Lo Celso left vacant. It could be Alexis McAllister. It could be Guido Rodriguez if you want to play a little bit more defensive. It could be Papu Gomez if you want to go really on the offensive. So it could be him. It could be any of those guys. Ezequiel Palacios as well. I remember there was a period of time in which he played. He was involved quite a lot. I remember a game against Mexico
Yes.
where
Like
Lautaro scored a hat
4-0,
trick.
I think.
I think he was 4-0, and Lautaro scored a hat trick, and I think Ezequiel had a
Palacios.
couple of assists. The connection that those two had
Mhm.
was amazing. So those are things that I'm pretty sure the coaching staff, Scaloni, they all have in mind. They all consider. So very happy with the midfield. There's no nonsense names in there, and even without Lo Celso, I think we managed to put up um, a group of midfielders that is really good.
Yeah. No, I fully agree with that. Obviously, Lo Celso, I think it's going to be multiple people replacing Lo Celso. I think maybe in the first game against Saudi Arabia, depending on who the opponent is afterwards, but maybe against Saudi Arabia, you get someone like Papu Gomez, someone that you don't need that defensive cover as much, that someone, that Lo Celso could bring. The second match against Mexico, maybe you bring in someone like Enzo Fernandez, right? You do need that engine in midfield. And then against Poland, I mean, who knows what happens there, and then potentially in the knockout stages as well. It all depends, like you said, Seba. We have different options, maybe depending on the opponent, depending who wins the spot. There's a game against the United Arab Emirates on Tuesday in Abu Dhabi. Who knows what kind of 11 Scaloni is going to put out there? We have options. We have
Yeah,
options. I think we're going to see a couple of options before Scaloni finally settles on that third choice to replace Lo Celso.
absolutely. And also, um, I don't know how many examples there must be of what I'm going to say, but there's a lot of teams that started a World Cup playing with a starting lineup that they started changing throughout the tournament. It happened for us in '86. The team that ended up playing in the final was nowhere near similar to
Mhm.
the first couple of games because managers they see things there. Players can reach their peak performance there. Players can be injured. Players can be suspended, and then somebody comes up and does a great job, and then managers they they, they can't replace them because they're playing at a great level. So
Yeah.
that is something that I'm. If I had to predict something, is that the starting lineup is going to be changing quite a lot
Yeah.
for us, and you need it. This is a shorter. It's a bit of a shorter World Cup. It's not a huge difference, but it's not a full month. It's a bit shorter. I
Mhm.
think the first stage lasts few
No,
days fewer than previous World Cups, so fitness levels are going to be crucial. Um, and it's good to have a squad this deep, to be able to explore and to try to find the best version.
Yeah. No, there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of variations. I think you're absolutely right on that, Seba. There's going
Mhm.
to be a lot.
Yeah, a couple of people asking about whether Enzo being so young, 2021, whether that will be an impediment or an obstacle. I don't think so. I don't think so.
No.
Um, I mean, I think the age range has increased a lot, because you see very young players being physically developed and ready to for the big stage, and you see players over 34, 35, 37 still being able to keep
To
a
perform.
fitness level that is good enough, because they take good care of their bodies, they train, they eat well, and the recovery methods and medicine in general have has improved a lot. So the lifespan of players has been ever increasing. And one of the World Cup stars in 2018 was Mbappe. Of course, he's at a different level, but he was what, 19 when he won the
18,
World Cup,
19.
scoring the World Cup final. I mean, that's not. I don't see age as an impediment or as an obstacle for Enzo or for anybody that age.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I agree with that. I see a lot of people, for whatever reason, whenever we discuss, maybe it's internal pessimism or I don't know what it's called, but whenever we discuss different teams and we see a young player there, for whatever reason, we always think they're ready, right? You look at the German players, oh, they're ready. We look at the Brazilian players, oh my God, they're ready. But whenever we're talking about our own players, for whatever reason, we're always maybe more cautious in terms of, well, maybe they're not ready. But someone like Enzo, he's shown in South America that he is more than ready. He's played for Benfica, played very well in the Champions League as well. So he's played against the top players already, or some of the top players in the world, and we saw
Yeah.
how he was able to perform. So I have no doubt that no, he is ready, and I don't think age is a factor at all by any means.
Hmm. Hmm.
By any means.
Suketu Patel is making a great point there in the comment. This
Yeah.
is going to be the first World Cup for 19 of these 26 players. So that's another thing that didn't happen in 2018, because when Sampaoli took charge, and they were talking about renovation, new generation, and it wasn't the case. I mean, he
Doesn't
called
happen.
up the same old guard, and now we are seeing renovation. Now we are seeing
Yeah.
um,
I mean,
the players going
seven.
into their first World Cup. To be
Yeah.
honest, Lautaro should be going into his second World Cup. That was another horrible omission from Sampaoli 4 years ago.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, again, he took a couple of players that should have been nowhere near the World Cup or the national team. But apart from that, that is a little particular case. Lautaro should have gone to
Should have been that.
2018 and should have had that experience, instead of dealing with all the anxiety and the nervousness of a first World Cup. Yeah, it's not the same, but that is another guy that it's one track mind. His mentality is amazing. So um, I hope, and I think it's not going to affect him, not at all.
No, no.
Should we move to the forward line?
He's shown that he's more than capable. Yeah, let's get to the
Yeah.
forwards. Angel Correa, part of the entire process with Scaloni, not there. Joaquin Correa makes it. Dybala makes it. We could go through the list again, but
Yeah.
essentially the forwards: Di Maria, Lautaro, Julian Alvarez, Nicolas Gonzalez, Joaquin Correa, Dybala, and Messi. Um, Seba, your thoughts
No,
on that front line?
first thing that comes to my mind is like, this is probably the area of the field, um, with the exclusion of Lo Celso, of course, that missed it through injury. But you go through the list, and there's a lot of players that have been coming back from injuries. They were injury doubts up until the last minute, and Nicolas Gonzalez was having muscle issues. Um, Paulo Dybala as well. He's been missing some time. Just came back. Angel Di Maria just came back. Play a few minutes this week for Juve. Even Lionel Messi missed. I think one game 1 week maybe. We're never gonna know if that was a real injury or if that was Messi exercising his power, saying, "Hey, listen, don't call me up for this game. PSG are gonna win the league by a country mile. Don't I don't want to risk it." He even has a clause in his contract giving priority
Yes.
to the national team. So, but so many names that are going to come are going to be heading into the World Cup, um, coming back from injuries. So
Yeah.
that was one thing that comes to my mind. But then, if you talk about talent, you talk about versatility, you talk about experience. That group of seven forwards has it all. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
they have it all, and it's a very very good mix. I mean, experience you have in Messi and Di Maria. Um, Versatility you have in Nicolás González, Joaquín Correa. They can play different roles. Talent, finishing ability you have Lautaro, you have Julian Alvarez, you have youth in Julian Alvarez as well. So it's a fantastic mix. It's not like, for example, Uruguay. They're more aging. They're more. I don't see that they are so
They're,
versatile. Of course, they have Darwin now, not just Suarez and Cavani, but if you know what I mean, it's a forward line that can play in different positions, can give you a lot of options. You have players that can play a role, like Di Maria was in playing the Copa America. He was like the substitute, and then in the final he played from the start. So these are players that are ready, 100% ready, and yeah, McAllister is one of the sons of Boca Juniors legend Carlos
yeah.
McAllister. Yeah. Then you have Kevin McAllister, same name as the Home Alone character, of course.
Yeah. As Mikhail calls it.
And yeah, and the other McAllister is Alexis, Kevin, and
Alexis and Kevin.
some of you will know. They
Someone will
play
let
in
us
the
know in the
local.
comments.
They play in the
Yeah.
Argentine league.
Yeah.
Kevin
It's,
Alexis. Oh, I'm old. I'm old. I should know this.
I can't remember right now. Kevin, Mike. I don't know.
No,
No, no, no. I
no,
don't
no,
know.
no.
I don't know. I'm
It's
thinking
going
the
to
letter
come.
M.
It's going to come in the comments. It's going to come in the
Yes.
comments.
Yes.
But yeah, no. Of course, Alexis is the best of the three. Um, yeah, I feel like I'm in live television trying to think about the answer. Like, who wants to be a
Which
millionaire?
was the
You don't
name?
know the answer.
Yeah.
But,
It's yeah, but there is that versatility up front. To kind of go back a little bit to the strikers. Well, someone will tell us, Seba. Someone will tell us in the chat who
Francis,
the
there you go.
Francis.
Francis McAllister.
There
Yeah,
you go. Thank you,
these
Francis.
two, Kevin and Francis, are nowhere near the level of their brother Alexis. And Alexis could be one of the dark horses in terms of who takes the spot for
Much
of
also.
Lo Celso. I think he can do a great job. He's very versatile. He has a lot of elements. He has a lot of
Very smart.
different traits, which are really really good. And there was somebody asking about Garnacho. This is an
Uh,
interesting point.
yeah.
There was a lot of pressure coming in the. I don't know if that was too much on mainstream media. Definitely on social media, there was a lot of people asking for Garnacho to be included. Of course, I think Argentina did a great job seducing these players that I call the Corralito generation. Corralito was the big financial crisis in 2001, where a lot of people emigrated back to
Spain.
not back to
Or
Europe, but
Europe.
they went to Europe, not because they were European, but they were second or third generation of Europeans, second or third generation of Spanish or Italian, born in Argentina, completely identified with Argentina, but struggling to get to the end of the month, to find a good job, to find some stability. They could apply for an Italian or Spanish passport. They went to Europe and they established a new life there. And now their sons are 20 something, are 18, 17, 14, whatever. And so that's why I call it the Corralito generation, because that was the term that was used for to describe or to name that crisis.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing them flourish, and they are They have Argentine passports, they have Argentine identity, they may have, I don't know, their father may be Spanish, but the mother is from Argentina. And so the coaching staff did a great job seducing these players, bringing them in, calling them up for a couple of games, having them live the experience of training around Messi and the other national team players. So Garnacho, if you listen to him when he speaks in a thick, thick Spanish from Spain accent.
Yeah, Madrid.
He's never been to Argentina prior to these call-ups. I think he's not what you would call your typical Argentine. He's from Spain. He loves Cristiano Ronaldo. He loves Real Madrid. So he
Which
needs
is
some
normal.
time. It's good. I
Which is
mean, he was
normal.
born in Spain. He lived there all the time until then. He moved to Manchester to play
United.
for Man United, and now he's making a huge impact. Perhaps a little too close to the World Cup. If he was making this sort of a impact the season before, he could have been included. I have no
Yeah,
doubt in his ability. Pass as well. I think
like the
he's
son of
Gras.
Madrid
Yeah, his father played for the national team.
in
I
'98.
remember him. Yeah, he's very talented playing for Real Madrid. So there's a lot of these RG European players, the Corralito generation, that I'm pretty sure we're going to see them in the next World Cup.
Yeah,
Perhaps this one came a little bit too early for them, but it's good that they start identifying themselves with Argentina. So,
yeah.
and it was the other way around. In the in the early stages of the World Cup, I think in '34, Italy won the World Cup
Italy.
with a lot of they call oriundi players that were born in Argentina and they represented Italy and they were the best of of their squad. It happens. Sometimes it happens. That's how demography works. And with
It's
globalization, you see it more and more. You know?
Yeah, and not just with Argentina, other countries as well. A comment right here. Someone said Camoranesi, so Mauro Camoranesi with Italy, David Trezeguet with France. Although
Yeah,
Trezeguet maybe slightly different from Camoranesi, but no, it's Garnacho could be one for the future. I think absolutely is one for the future. A great attacking talent. I was one of those people that said, and I went on social media and I tweeted this. Some people understood my point of view, some people not so much. For Garnacho, I said, it'd be one of those things where it would be cool to see him with the team. It's just not worth the risk, if that makes sense. It could be good for him to gain that experience, come off the bench, that explosiveness. But there's a lot that comes with the World Cup, the pressure,
yeah,
and whether you're coming on as a substitute or you're starting, it's very different. It's different from Champions League, different from the league. It's You can't afford a mistake. You cannot afford half a mistake. And bringing
yeah,
someone like Garnacho on paper could be interesting, right? An
yeah,
explosive kid off the bench, but
yeah.
there's
And
got to
also
be intelligence, the hard work.
yeah. Sometimes it happens when the cost is so big. I mean,
Mhm.
winning the World Cup for Argentina, you are born obsessed with that, and the longer it goes without winning another one, the bigger the pressure, right? So
Yes.
for everybody that was born in Argentina, have these players that have that pressure, it's even more difficult to play in those instances because there's a lot at stake. And for someone like Garnacho, he may be detached from that. So it may be easier for him to perform because he doesn't have all that burden. He doesn't have all that weight of the responsibility in his back. So it could work both ways. It could also mean that when the gets tough, he doesn't have that extra bit of passion or
That
that extra bit
motivation.
of commitment. Um, it's interesting. It's an interesting debate. We could be talking about about it for ages,
Yeah.
and every opinion will be valid in this case because there are
Yeah.
many examples, there are many different examples.
Yeah.
But yeah, and
It's,
there's a question from Jaco Taco: how will the public back home here in Argentina accept them? I tell you what, it all depends on how the team is doing. Like right now, Scaloni could do anything, and the public and the fans will back him. The fans will back him up. So if he wanted to call up seven of these kids and get rid of some of these guys that were in this process, everybody will be um,
You trust
on
him.
Scaloni's side. Yeah, they will trust him. But also another point of view would be that they will be already be welcomed because the feeling will be okay. We nick this one from Spain. Okay, we nick this one from Italy. These two guys that are playing for Inter, they were born in Italy. They could be playing for Italy. No, but they have like they are third generation from of Argentine. Okay, give it to me. They, as long as they don't play for anybody else. So that's another point of view. That's another mentality that a lot of people I already read on social media saying, "Hey, this is great. Give them one or two games, and that's it. They're not going to be able to play for another nation." And the same thing happened with Messi. They organized um, a friendly match so that he could play when he was 19 or something, so then he could be brought in to the Youth World Cup, and that way you guarantee he was going to play for Argentina and not for Spain. He could have applied for an Spanish citizenship and play for Spain, and imagine that. I don't even want to think about it.
No, 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 no. We're
You
not
know?
gonna go down that road, Seb, but not right now. Maybe in a different video. Maybe in a different video, but not yet. Not yet. But yeah. So no Garnacho. No Angel Correa. And for me, this is one that it stings a little bit. I've always enjoyed Correa. I thought he's a very intelligent player, a hard worker, versatile, good dribbler, good passer, a good eye for goal as well. Very much a strong team player. And I don't know if it's lack of form with Atletico, even though when he plays for Atletico, whatever minutes he gets or whatever games he gets, he tends to do very well. He tends to play
Yeah.
well as a substitute, even though maybe his matches, it's not too often. Um, I'm not going to compare him. Maybe I'm not going to name another player on the team, but maybe there's another striker on the team, or I'll use Joaquin Correa for example. Joaquin Correa not going through the best of forms with Inter, but we don't really have a type of player like Correa on the team, like Joaquin, like Tuco Correa, that center forward that has that height, right? Send the cross into the penalty area. Correa is pretty tall. He's not short, and I'm not surprised that it came down to both Correas. I just wish there was a way to bring both, because I really think Angel coming off the bench would be a massive asset against any team, especially against a tired back line. He's a good one to bring on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's not there.
Yeah, because it's he's a player that has that special touch. He can change a
Yeah,
game right, like in an instant. And I see Joaquin Correa being included because he's more physical.
that's it.
He's stronger.
Bigger.
He's bigger, um, and he can play a role. He can play a role when the opposition is tired. He can play different positions. I mean, as I said, we can feel sorry for some of the players that were left out. I don't think any decision is scandalous or it's a matter of national embarrassment.
No, no.
But at least I for one, I'm very happy with all of the names that are included
Same.
there. And I don't
Same.
remember, many World Cup squads that generated the same feeling for me. So that's a good sign. That's good vibes.
Yeah,
And the most important thing is that these guys, we know that they're gonna die for each other. We know that.
absolutely.
We know we've seen it, and that's a good thing. They won the Copa America. They won the Finalissima. Some people are saying, "Hey, we should lose against on Tuesday against the Emirates, so we don't have the pressure of going undefeated
No,
for so
no,
many
no,
games.
no, no, no.
We should lose it because it's a jinx to be undefeated, and then you get to the World Cup and um, you know,
Yeah,
winning is contagious, Um, they are undefeated for so long because of
Because
many
of that.
many reasons. Yeah, they deserve it. So
I
we know they're capable of delivering, going for it, competing. That's the least they could do, because I don't think in 2018 we competed very
no.
very well. Um, because it's not a crime to lose at a World Cup against France, the eventual World Cup champions. But
And
I guess we all agree the chemistry was not there,
no.
the level of football was
They
not there. You know?
the only reason Argentina scored 3 goals in that match was because of the players, the desire of the players, and you saw it when Mercado's goal went in, when Messi took that shot, bounced off Mercado, went in 2-1 for Argentina. The celebration, you could tell this meant that goal meant a lot. Um, and that was a broken Argentina team that pushed France to its limits. This
Yeah,
is not a broken Argentina team. This is the complete opposite of broken. And I share the exact sentiments as you say, but I cannot remember. I want to say 2014, but I cannot remember the last time I was this excited, not just for a World Cup, but this excited and this happy with the list. There is no one on that list that I would say, you know what, that specific player, no, I don't want them at the World Cup. I might have my doubts. Maybe, we spoke about, let's say, Foyt, for example, but I know what he offers, and I'm very happy with what he offers.
yeah,
Joaquin Correa, yes, I would have loved Angel Correa to have been involved, but you know what? Tuco Correa is there for a reason. And I've I love this team, and for the first time since 1994, for the first time since 1994, we are going to watch an Argentina team that has won a tournament prior. So there's no pressure of, well, if we don't win this World Cup, well, we have to wait till the next Copa America to eventually win something. This is a team that has won something. And
yeah,
it wasn't up until, I mean, last time we won something was in 93. So going into the 94 World Cup. Now, is there pressure? Absolutely. There's pressure on all 32 teams at the World Cup. But the pressure now for Argentina is different than it was in 2018 or 2014, because they won something and they know that the fans are fully, 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 fully behind them.
yeah.
Not that it wasn't the case before, but I think you get what I mean, Seb. I
Of
think
course.
everybody gets what I mean.
No,
So
I was more excited for 1994 because I was 17. That.
not the same
Yeah,
responsibilities.
exactly. No, but yeah, it's a good comparison, and
Yeah,
that was another World Cup squad that was really really competent. And of course, then the Diego doping scandal happened, and
yeah.
that's it. The morale of the team was destroyed from that moment on. But some of the football played in that first stage
Wow.
in that World Cup was amazing.
Wow.
Um, but you know what? I don't know if you will get to see it wherever you are in the world. I know in Argentina it's available on Netflix. It's a three-part documentary that I would like
Ah,
to recommend. It's called Sean
wow.
Eternos. Sean Eternos is a like be eternal,
Yeah,
and
to
it's
be
a part
eternal.
of the national anthem near the end when it says sean eternos los laureles que supimos conseguir. All right, so just before the end, where it's when the national anthem is about to get to the climax,
Mhm.
right? So this is a three-part documentary called Sean Eternos, Be Eternal. Try to find it. It's about the team winning the Copa America.
I saw it.
I almost say it. I almost say it.
Yeah.
It's a team about is winning the Copa America, but it's a fantastic window that allows us to look in and see what's going on between them. This is a band
Yeah.
of brothers. This is a real
It's
band of brothers. I know we've been probably talking perhaps a little too much about it, but every time there was a Copa America game, a World Cup qualifier, we were talking about this with Roy in these videos and in our conversations, and we were saying, "Hey, look, these guys, they love each other. They go on holiday together. They 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 fight the Premier League so they can join the team.
yeah.
They can be in Argentina. They don't care about being suspended. They get together. They love being together, playing for each other, and that's something that not every team has, and it's something that could allow you to go the extra mile. And and that documentary, it brought tears to my eyes, like honestly, and proper tears to my eyes, because you get to see what they went through, what it meant for them to win the Copa America, and you're gonna be well represented by them. I'm not saying we're gonna win all 7 games, but they're gonna play for the cause. They're gonna play for the shirt. They're gonna play
Yeah,
not just for the country, but for all of the fans that we have worldwide. And
yeah.
Mundo Albiceleste is a great example of that. But
You know,
that's the main thing that gives me pride, makes me feel like we're gonna be well represented. That's the most important. That's all I can ask, really.
yeah, I saw that. I saw that documentary. I saw both the Netflix one and this. Sorry, the Amazon one and this one. The Netflix one, very highly recommended. Very highly. It gives us really the insight on how it was, and we're not going to spoil anything what Bruno wrote. But yeah, see,
Yeah,
there's like a 2 3 minute clip in there, and there's a tattoo involved, and there's some
yeah,
stuff in there involved. But yeah, it's that no matter what, no matter the outcome, this team will have given it its all, and we see it. We've been seeing it for over a year. This team constantly gives it its all, and you can't ask more than that in a way, to a certain degree. But yes, there you go. Yeah, that's wait, where's no, but we didn't say anything, Jacko Taco. We didn't say anything. We didn't say anything.
no
Uh,
jinx. That
no,
means
that's
no
it.
jinx. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, we're
Um,
not.
but yeah, it's very very much worth watching, and like I said, that these players, these band of brothers, will give everything
That's
for the shirt.
that's what they are. Yeah, I'm convinced. You know what they remind me of?
Hmm.
Not any previous World Cup, but they remind me of the basketball national team of Argentina
In
that
2004.
won across all those years, because they were brothers. They known each other since they were little. Some of them were coming from the same area. You have Manu Ginobili, Pepe Sanchez coming from Bahia Blanca. Then uh, they started playing when they were really, really young, and they ended up winning an Olympic gold. I think it's
Together.
the only Olympic gold that the US haven't won since they've been bringing NBA players. And, you know, they were not taller, stronger, faster, more accurate than everybody else. They were more determined.
They wanted it more.
They wanted it more. They love each other more than all the others.
Yeah,
And the chemistry that they have, you can buy that. You can buy that.
yeah,
So that's what this team reminds me of. They have
yeah,
the ace of spades with Lionel Messi. The basketball team had Emmanuel Ginobili, but then you have all the rest, keeping him company, and you know doing doing everybody knowing what they have to do for the team and doing it to perfection and leaving everything behind. So that's what it reminds me of.
yeah. That's. I couldn't have said it better myself, Seba. I can. That's a very good analogy. It's a very, very good comparison. Very good
Gracias,
comparison.
gracias. No, but yeah, yeah,
um, but yeah, we're going on for about an hour now, Seba. You good to go? We got to wrap things
yeah,
up.
yeah. I have a couple of more minutes because my kids are coming back from school.
All
They're
right.
gonna
Well,
be creating all sorts of chaos
havoc.
here. Counts, but yeah, no.
All
But
good. All good.
I could stay forever if it was up to me.
I know. I
But
know.
yeah, all in all, happy with the squad. Um, really eager for the World Cup to start. I really want, especially what I want the most is for all the European leagues to stop. I don't want to. I
That's
don't.
it.
I don't want to be, chewing my
Worried.
heart when I'm watching these games, because
Yeah.
all I want is for the game to be over, and that's it. They need to go to the World Cup. Forget about these stupid games
Everything else.
against. Yeah.
Agree.
They're
I,
asking me if I will write for ESPN again. Thanks. That was a long time ago. That was a bit of that was a bit of special project feature that I wasn't hired by that area of ESPN. I used to work for ESPN, but in Buenos Aires. I was used to work for a sports center in Latin America for 4 years. I was one of the producers, but later on, I was writing for SoccerNet. That's where Mundo Albiceleste and the idea
Started.
came alive. Yeah, it started because it was only a blog. There were no social media, no YouTube, nothing like that. And I was writing, and I didn't know who was reading. I felt like it was nonsense because I was writing, and there was no way for me to even know if there was people reading. And so the editor said, "Okay, create an email address, put it there, and see if you get some messages." And I think in one day they wrote from 5 different continents, and he was like, "Oh my god, there is something here." And then after that, because they were not paying me, it was just
Yeah.
an invitation, and they had this project. I used it for you know to write about football because I liked it. I had more time back then, and then the idea of creating the blog Mundo Luis Celeste was it was there when it was born. And then I met Roy and Siggy and John from Malaysia, and we two are like a band of brothers. So
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah. We're all still in touch. We're all still in touch. Actually, Seb and I mean, we were just texting earlier this morning too, just kind of a little bit about the squad. It's gonna get announced, and then when it broke, like, oh, like this person made it, this didn't make it. Okay, Seba, and then Seba's telling me, Roy, we gotta talk about this. We have to do a live video.
Yeah,
I told you, yeah, we have to do a live video. So we're kind of just
absolutely,
coordinating to get it done. But no, it was great, absolutely great. Our fifth World Cup on Mundo Albiceleste. Um, an incredible achievement. This would not have been possible without everybody's support here, your engagement, your support,
absolutely, absolutely.
um, and we're gonna keep doing these. We're
Yep.
not done, not even close. What we haven't figured out exactly how we're gonna do the live videos after the World Cup games. Maybe wait till the end of the day, depending on where you are around the world. Maybe for all the games to pass, to finish, we could do a video. We're not sure. We're still kind of thinking about that and talking to see how we're gonna do it. But yeah, about 12 years of Mundo Albiceleste, Seba. 12 years.
Oh my god.
It's a
Yeah.
lot. That's
No,
a
but
lot.
you just talk to my agent and see if I'm available.
All good, all good. And yes, everybody. We're gonna talk to Seba's agent. We'll
Yeah.
have our people call his people to see when he can coordinate. And
Yeah.
like what Sam said, like,
Remember to like the video. I'm
yes,
forever blowing bubbles.
there you go.
That's dedicated to West Ham clips. But yeah, we do
Incredible.
this because we enjoy it because
Yeah.
we're never alone.
No,
There's always a lot of people, and that is fantastic. It's
it is.
fantastic to
Uh,
see. And of course, for the World Cup, we're gonna be doing more of this. We're gonna be,
yeah.
if possible, if time allows, time difference and work commitments that we have, um, and whether Roy can afford my contract and
There you go. We got
my exclusive rights.
Seba's a free agent right now.
I am.
Seba's a
I'm
free agent.
closer.
So
Yeah, I'm closer to being described as retired than free agent. But
there you go.
here you go. Here you go.
No,
Thank
no,
you
but
so much for the love.
yeah, thank you, everybody. And yes, Jack Otaku is 16, not 12. I'm obviously not too good at math. We're on the fly. We're on the fly, so we'll
Yeah,
consider this
yeah.
is still 2018. But anyways, we'll wrap things up. We're gonna have a lot more updates coming up in terms of whenever we're gonna go live. But thank you, everybody, for the support. Make sure to like the video and subscribe and hit the notifications button if you haven't. We got a lot of stuff coming up. Thank you, Seba, the living legend himself, the man, the myth, the legend, the free agent. We're trying to sign up here for a long-term contract. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Where am I going to cover the United Arab Emirates game? Most likely, we'll probably do either a short video or we'll talk about it for sure and see. But thank you, everybody. Have a good day, good evening, good night, good morning, I don't know, good afternoon, wherever you are. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. And keep your eyes open. We got a lot of stuff coming. So thank you, everybody. Take
Thank you
care.
so much for the love.
Bye, guys. Bye,
See you.
guys.